Alright guys, welcome to Flav Oriana's MMA show. I'm your host, Flav Oriana, and UFC Vegas 82 is officially in the books. No UFC this week because we are going into Thanksgiving, so it'll be a nice week off to spend time with family and friends. But I'll be here to talk about what happened in UFC Vegas 82. I'll tell you that. Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. That was the main event. I know a lot of people were poo-pooing on the card, saying that this is a glorified Contender Series fight. I didn't think so. There was actually a couple of good fights that were on here. The co-main event was Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews. We got to see Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that was a really good scrap. Don't understand why Jonathan Pierce versus Joanson Brito was buried in the prelims, but that was another good fight. But I'm gonna talk about the main event. So the main event, Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. Paul Craig, went down from light heavyweight to middleweight. Ended up fighting Andre Muniz in his middleweight debut. Was able to defeat Andre Muniz, and go figure, Brendan Allen was the one to stop Andre Muniz's great winning streak, because a lot of people were saying that Andre Muniz could be a future title challenger, right? And look where his career is at right now. After 2 consecutive losses, no one cares about what happens to Andre Muniz, because of the fact that regardless if he had a great, what was it, like a 4 or 5 win streak and stuff like that, losing back-to-back fights puts you in irrelevancy in the UFC. It's unfortunate, but it is very true. All right, so you have Paul Craig versus Brendan Allen, right? Brendan Allen, I think he closed in at like a minus 450 on DraftKings, and that should tell you something right there, that this was gonna be a lopsided matchup. And honestly, like, going in, that's exactly what it was. Round 1, you have Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. Paul Craig, was trying to scramble and stuff like that with Brendan Allen. He had him in a calf slicer at one point, and the calf slicer, I honestly thought that he was gonna get Brendan Allen to tap from the calf slicer, but Brendan Allen is very, very sneaky. He knows how to maneuver things around, and go figure, he was able to get around it. Was able to, avoid getting hurt. Then going into round 2, Brendan Allen is great all around. He looked like he's actually been improving, his all around game from his fight, his stand up game, his jiu-jitsu background and stuff like that. He was able to maneuver. He had a really good first round. Got a good second round. He made Paul Craig feel uncomfortable, right? On the striking department, the ground game, got him in some weird, positions, and it just looked like, honestly, to me, and Chris Curtis said properly, Paul Craig, he's in that tweener type of a role, right? He's too small for light heavyweight, which he somehow was able to get, a victory over Jamal Hill, where I think that was in the Phoenix card. I think that was when Gaethje versus Oliveira, if I'm not mistaken. That's when Jamal Hill's arm was just dangling all over around, and it broke too. But he was able to get a victory, and he was able to get most of the victories in light heavyweight. But he is very quick for light heavyweight, but not strong enough to withstand big, powerful, light heavyweights, but is also not fast enough to keep up with the middleweights. So he's a slower target for middleweights to face. And, Brendan Allen, he's only, 27, 28 years old? He's coming into his prime. He says he's not in his prime, but it's usually the time frame that you start to peak at, right? And I just feel like Brendan Allen was just a better fighter overall. He was able to take down Paul Craig in round 3, and just take control of his back and just make him tap. Finishes the fight in round three submission. Yeah, Brendan Allen, what's it called? He looked good. He did what he was supposed to do against Paul Craig. What's next for Brendan Allen? He wants a title eliminator fight. I personally feel like he's most likely gonna fight Marvin Vettori. I predicted Jerry Cannonier, but I didn't realize that he had an injury. So I feel like Marvin Vettori is the perfect fit. He's not getting Whitaker. I think I've been hearing rumors that Whitaker might be fighting Kamaru Usman on the first quarter of 2024, but yeah, I just do not see Brendan Allen getting anybody that's higher than Marvin Vettori. Dricus is fighting Sean Strickland. Hamza's not going to fight Brendan Allen, although he called him out at one point. But I just do not see anybody of middleweight that's going to be willing to take a chance that's inside the top 5 outside of Marvin Vettori. That's the only person I physically feel like is going to wanting to fight this guy. As for Paul Craig, I don't know. Paul Craig's in a weird situation. I feel like Paul Craig might have to go back up to light heavyweight. That Johnny Walker fight that he had really deterred him, from staying in light heavyweight, and that's why he ended up jumping ship. But Johnny Walker is one of the biggest outliers in light heavyweight. That man is massive. I don't know how he makes 205 pounds, but when he hydrates that next day, he boosts up to like 240. So I mean, the man like depletes his body to get to 205. It is crazy, but I understand why he got frustrated, because Paul Craig might weigh like 215 pounds, and Johnny Walker looks like he walks around at 240 naturally, 240, 250. So huge weight discrepancy. I feel like he might have to go back up. I feel like you go back up, you fight your guys like Khalil Rountree's, Dustin Jacoby's and stuff like that. Do not stick around at middleweight, right? Because you're gonna have to deal with the Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. You're gonna have to deal with Chris Curtis. You're gonna have to deal with those type of people, and I feel like those type of people are gonna really expose Paul Craig, and Paul Craig is not gonna be able to withstand keeping up with that pace and that speed that comes along with it. So that's just what it comes with. It's just unfortunate. He's in a weird situation, but then again, Paul Craig is also in his mid to late 30s, so it's not like he's going to be fighting for titles. Moving on, co-main event was Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews. This is a fight that I was very intrigued upon because of the fact that Michael Morales resides from he's Ecuadorian, and I am part Ecuadorian, so there's only 2 Ecuadorian fighters in the UFC. It is Chito Vera and it's Michael Morales, and both are phenomenal fighters. And Michael Morales, showed up and he did a really good job. He ate a couple of good clean shots from Jake Matthews, but that really didn't do anything to him. You saw a little bit of growth within his fight. You saw Morales, landing the bigger shots. Finding different gaps and openings on, attacking a vet that is Jake Matthews, who's been in the UFC for over 10 years. The man has been in the promotion since he was 19, and for the way that Michael Morales has been, been fighting, and the growth and the development. I mean, his first fight I think was Trevin Giles, and that is not an easy matchup whatsoever. And then we ended up getting him fight. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up his second fight. I think it was Trey Ogden, or I'm not 100% sure. No, Adam Fugit. I'm sorry. He fought Adam Fugit. He was supposed to fight Renat Raminov, or I can't pronounce his name. Renat. They were supposed to fight one another, but that fight got canceled. Fought Max Griffin. And now fought Jake Matthews. Now he's fought decision, and he's knocked out Fugit and Giles in his first 2 fights. So overall, you're seeing a lot of development. You're seeing a lot of growth. The man improves into 15-0. He's, I think, only 23, 24 years old. He's in a really good division where you're gonna be tested out in all different, parts and categories. And Jake Matthews, looked like he had a lot on his plate to handle when fighting Michael Morales, and Michael Morales looked like, he was willing to take a punch at some points, to throw a punch, but he was also just trying to, really like beat down, category by category on Jake Matthews, and I felt like he did a very stellar job. One of the fights that stuck out to me, what was one of my favorites, was Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro. Wow, Amanda Ribas, this fighter is great when she's fighting at strawweight. I think she should stick at strawweight. I know she's fought a couple of times at flyweight, but I'm not a big fan when she fights at flyweight. I know that she cuts about like 30 to 25 to 30 pounds, right, to make strawweight. And man, when she's on, and I believe she's only lost once, and that is against Marina Rodriguez in the weight division. I mean, the woman is a really good fighter, and she was able to piece up Luana Pinheiro going into the third and final round. Passing the 2.5 mark. You see, Amanda really picking it up, landing like side kicks, like a sweet chin music. You're seeing her land clean punches, and it just looks like Luana did not want any part of the onslaught that was coming her way in round 3. And it opened up for Luana to get cracked in the chin, get hurt. Fight has to get stopped because she's unable to defend herself, and because Amanda is just on another level. I personally like Amanda Ribas at strawweight. I don't want her to go up to flyweight. We've seen her fight Macy Barber. That was a bad matchup, and Macy Barber is a tough girl. I mean, this girl can, fight for a title, within the next year or so. I really do believe that Amanda, she stays at strawweight. She has an avenue on trying to fight for a title as opposed to sticking at flyweight. Because if she sticks at flyweight, I feel like she's more likely to lose than win her fights. And I'm just telling you how it is, So, yeah, guys, Amanda looked phenomenal. She did. And what's next for her? Honestly, I would like to see her fight Mackenzie Dern. Oh, not Mackenzie Dern. I'm sorry. Jessica Andrade at 115 pounds. The reason why I'm saying that is because Jessica Andrade looked good against Mackenzie Dern at 115 pounds, and I feel like both these ladies can look stellar, right, in their respective weight divisions. And I would like to see who is better, because they're not fighting Tatiana Suarez, they're not fighting Yan Xiaonan, because those two are in, I feel like in musical chairs on who's going to be fighting Zhang Weili. And then lastly, Joanderson Brito versus Jonathan Pierce. I believe that this should have been, higher up on the cards. And Jonathan Pierce, his only loss coming into the fight, he fought Joe Lozon in 2018 in that Boston card. Which honestly, that Boston card, the fight card start was on a Friday, which I honestly wish that sometimes the UFC does that. I wish that sometimes the UFC puts cards out on a Friday, because it just makes it so much better to look forward to, and not having to stay inside on a Saturday. Jonathan Brito, I feel like he is the featherweight version of Davison Figueiredo. I mean, this guy just knocks people out. This guy has brute power, brute strength, brute everything, all right? And Jonathan Pierce, this guy does not fight to a decision. He is willing to try to get somebody out early and quick because of the fact that he is all violence. So this was just like an all violence fight, and sure enough, Jonathan Brito was able to outmuscle Jonathan Pierce, puts him in an engine choke and then chokes him out. Jonathan Pierce experienced his second loss in the UFC, and his first in like 4 years. So it's just very surreal to see him, lose. Brito looks like the real deal. I think that this kid can actually get up into the top 10 and, you know, have like fantastic fights with like guys like Dan Ige and stuff like that. I really do believe that Brito has a bright future in the featherweight division, and the featherweight division is just only getting stronger, guys. It's only getting stronger. But yeah, guys, I was able to cover Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig, Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews, Jonathan Pierce versus Joanderson Brito, Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro. Me personally, my favorite fight, like I said, was Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro. Joanderson Brito versus Jonathan Pierce was a really good card. Looks like the potential is through the ceiling for one Michael Morales, and for Brendan Allen, I can't really test him. I can't really give him like a grade, like where is he at, because I need to see him fight Marvin Vettori. If he fights Marvin Vettori, I have a better understanding. Is this guy going to be able to win the title? Is this guy going to be able to, you know, be somebody that, you know, fans are going to be willing to watch? That's not inside the Apex. I mean, there's a reason why that card was inside the Apex, and that main event was not going to sell anywhere else, but that's neither here neither there. Until then, guys, I am Flav Oriana, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.